Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our chat this morning. I invited Julia and I've invited Tanya to come and chat to us a little bit about how they deal with the frustrations within the risk department in this current economic climate. But first, let me ask the two ladies to introduce themselves. We can start with Julia. She's going to tell us who she is, where she comes from, and where you've been, and then to Tanya.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you for the invite and good morning to everybody else that have joined us online. Then professionally, what I do, I'm a head of credit risk at PG Bison. So I've been within the credit risk space for 20 years now, just a little bit over 20 years within multiple industries.
Thank you. Thank you, Julia.
Yeah, thank you, Martin, and also welcome to everybody online. So myself, and then I'll swing it around and say professionally, yes, 21 years in the elections and credit risk environment. Currently, credit risk and collections manager for DHL, and I've been in that environment freight forwarding for those 21 years. So in that environment, personally, yes, married for all of that time as well. A boy and a girl, last one finishing high school this year. So they say when you get under the empty nest, now I need to learn again how to navigate my own life around having no kids in my house.
All this time available to you, but I've got a surprise for you. They never leave the nest. Mine is also grown up and have children already, but they never actually leave the nest. They always come back to you.
It's an investment, yes. It's our investment.
Absolutely. But so is your life at the office. I mean, you're both senior ladies with big staff complements, and the people that work for you become like your children. They become like your family because you got to manage their time for them. You got to manage their lives for them. Because if you don't do that, if you don't engage with them, you're not going to understand what is it that is diverting their focus. My first question to you is, how do you keep them motivated? So I'm going to start with you, Tanya. How would you keep your team motivated?
Well, I think one of the most important things for me is to have clear benchmarks. I mean, nobody can work if they don't know what they're working towards.
No.
Now, if you set clear benchmarks to your team on what you want to, what your end goal is,
Yes.
and you bring it in with your company strategy of where do we want to end up. For me, it's about, and especially in credit risk and collections, is how do you having the visibility of how you are contributing to that end result and to the strategy, because all people, I believe, want to feel valued. So you want to feel that you're bringing something to the table.
Yes.
So in order to feel that you're bringing something to the table, you need to have the visibility of where are we and how are we performing against those benchmarks.
Yeah.
So I think, clear benchmarks, and then having the
So has the meeting started? Because I can't hear anything.
So if you constantly have visible how you are performing, that in itself keeps us motivated.
Now I say if you don't have a target, it's always hit it.
Correct. Correct.
Julia, you?
Good one.
Leadership is a marathon, right? So just like any other marathon, you need to keep training for you to get better. And I have to agree with Tanya in terms of having benchmark, and working towards a specific goal. So for me, I talk about creating meaningful working environment, creating a positive working environment where employees feel valued. They feel that they are part of a bigger environment than their own. And then, they feel more included. They feel, like you mentioned, they feel more valued. And so for me to create that, you also touched on it, is to say, how do we, as a credit risk department, fit into the holistic picture of the business, right?
Yeah.
To say, if I'm a credit controller, what is the value that I'm adding towards the entire business strategy? Set clear visions for them. And, and the other thing that we as leaders that we fail to do is to look at wellness of our employee. One of the facilitators at GIBS said, if it's not on the scorecard, you're not going to measure it, right?
Yeah.
Have wellness, employee wellness as part of your scorecard, right? So that them, let them understand where they are. And most importantly, which is something that my CEO mentioned, was to say, you need to understand your strength. And you don't say people have weaknesses, you say they've got baseline. And then assign tasks to your team that energizes them. Bring fun in the workplace. Let's have some bit of fun and not only focus on delivering on results. Bring that fun back. Assign tasks that are more aligned with their strengths so that they can bring their whole son to work. So for me, it's how I will motivate my team.
I always used to say, I don't believe people have got weaknesses.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Undeveloped strengths.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes down to the same thing of talking about challenges and opportunities. A challenge is just something that creates an opportunity for you to better and to excel at something, to make it better and to so. Again, Julia, like you mentioned on motivation and bringing fun back into work. If you think credit risk and collections is always seen as that area that is supposed to be morbid, is supposed to be all the people. The people with the downturn faces is because they're scowling and and you know what? I think bringing the fun back in that and learning on how you can create and be that department that everybody wants to visit.
Correct.
That's what it's about.
Like we don't just know, everybody says,
Correct.
I want to come and work for you.
Exactly.
Because they think that's
Exactly.
because they
Where
can
it's
see
happening. Yes.
there is a spirit of unity in them. And the people in there care for one another.
Having a
People
vibe.
work, that's it. That's the
Having a
word I'm
vibe.
looking for.
Yeah.
Now, talking about this, there's always this one thing, time wasters. We always have one or two people, or we have some, or we have things
Yes.
that people bring into our space that becomes time wasters. What is the time wasters?
I'm sure we're going to have the same ones. I'm sure.
Other people will say, but then why? For me, it's multitasking, right? Multitasking is a skill that you can get. If you don't have that kind of a skill, you're going to find yourself, because you're trying to get through so many things
Yeah,
at the same time, and then you end up doing absolutely nothing.
yeah,
So for me, it's there to say, how do we create a flow
yeah,
within the team to ensure that at the end of the day, we get to where we're supposed to be. You don't end up having touched so many things because you're trying to get to so many things that you end up doing absolutely nothing. And then that is what I have picked up. And it's not because of lack of skills or that. It's because of, do we have the right tools to ensure that there's a flow within what we do, right? Do we have the right tools to ensure that people work efficiently?
yeah,
And then they focus on the core goals, and then they focus on what is core at this moment, and not do everything at the same time and trying to get to things at the same time. And then you end up not doing anything.
Yeah.
So for me, that has been the biggest time waster, to say, I am trying to multitask and it's not, I'm not getting to anything. I've typed everything, but then I have not completed anything.
yeah. And saying that, before I get to you, Tanya, I think one of the biggest things people waste time on is because they cannot say no. They
Yes,
cannot say no. So you come and you say, I want you to do this. Say, hey, just hold on. And you see, I've got all of these things to do. These are priorities. These are things that I must get done today. Do you mind if I can do that tomorrow or at 4 o'clock this afternoon? But until then, no. But we need to say no to business because we've always got that pressure, but it's important, it's got to be done now. Find out why.
That horrible thing, you touched on a word there of important, and there is that little function that we can go through of what is important and what is not. And when you go through all your tasks during the day, is it urgent or is it important, or is it important and urgent, or where does it actually put in? You're quite right. I think for me, if I have to talk about time wasters as things, I would say irrelevant emails. There's a lot of digital noise in our world today.
Exactly.
I mean, we sit in as much as every company today drive digitalization and how we incorporate in growing our business and bringing it also creates a lot of digital noise. And if we don't manage that noise, then it becomes and can become a big time waster. So for me, there is irrelevant emails that stops people from actually, it will take you 33% of your day to deal with emails and stuff that you actually don't need to be involved with because you were CC'd in.
Yeah.
Your credit controllers are needing to focus on being on the phone and collecting money. However, have got, yes, we do need emails and we do need that, but as a confirmation relevant to my job. Yeah. So I think irrelevant emails, and then I would probably say hunting down documents. I mean, from a risk perspective, and that's where your collaboration with your sales department is going to come in. From a risk perspective, Mr. Salesman, you know what I need to give you an account. Give me what I need, and then I'm not going to delay your requirement. Yeah. So hunting down documentation, following up when people know what the requirement is, and then from a collections perspective, hunting down documents to provide it to a customer in order for them to be able to pay you. So I think for the department, that would be my biggest time wasters, because we do, instead of having a relationship with the customer, asking for the money and when and where and how much, we are dealing with those, sending emails and hunting the paperwork in order to get to the how, the what, and how much when.
85% of the time, when clients don't pay us, it's our own inefficiencies.
Absolutely.
We don't have this, we don't have that. They say, I've asked the client to pay. So I've just spoken to the client. The client doesn't have the purchase orders. You know the purchase orders must go with the invoices. Or the client's not paying us. The client said to me, he raised the query with you 3 months ago. Where's the query? And then we find out it's a pricing issue or something.
Yes.
It's always something.
It's always something like
Always
that.
something
And
else.
if you go back to what Julia said about that flow, credit control is actually quite easy.
Yeah.
There's 3 different steps. Risk assess, send the documents, collect the money. It's 1, 2, 3.
It's a flow.
It's 1, 2, 3. And if you mess up somewhere in between, you will not get to 3.
You will never get to 3.
You will go around.
You will stay in that little section there and you will.
Correct.
And now the next question is, do your teams understand how important their functionality is in that business cycle?
Well, Martin, you know what, I'll tell you something that from a DHL perspective, something that we've embarked on is, and we call it know your numbers.
Yeah.
And if we relate it back to our strategy of wanting to be the most, the freight forwarder in the industry.
Yeah.
If we go back to our values of saying we want to be the best team, giving the best customer service, having the best operations that can create the best result, then the only way to do that is by knowing your numbers. And I think for collections and for the credit risk team, it's what they understand because of the pathway that we've taken within the company, showing that For instance, if you say P&L, a lot of people within your company who say, okay, P&L, yeah, okay, profit and loss statement. But do they understand how they can affect it? And for me, going right back to that, this is our P&L is our end result.
Yeah,
But do you know what your function in HR, in credit control, in IT, do you know how you affect and
what's the outcome?
how can you positively influence the
Correct.
outcome? And that is our drive, is to allow and to open that up to all our employees and say, this is where you sit. But what you do, this is how it affects, and this is the ups and downs that you see in the P&L. And I think it's a good strategy to have, because to drive that strategy of being undisputedly the best freight forwarder,
Yeah,
you have to start by giving people an open view of what they are to the company.
Correct.
I think that's.
I always believed in visual management. as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
So I said, Julia, your target is this, and I put it there. Everyone can see. Everyone can see how you perform against your target. And Tanya, your target is this. So the guys from outside, the guys from sales, they walk in and say, what's this? I said, no, this is what Julia's got to collect this month
Yes.
to make her target. That is the part of this target that we have. Because if we don't collect this, there's no cash. If there's no cash, this business doesn't exist.
Yes.
And that's so critical.
It
And
is.
that's how important it is. And on your side?
So for me, it's more of, we need to change the narrative of who we are as a credit risk department, right? I mentioned my role within the holistic business. What is my role? What is it that I am doing? And then the value that I'm adding to the business. So we need to, for me, credit is an enabler. So you use credit to enable set access to certain things that are required by our businesses, that is required by our customers and so forth. But, when you enable that credit, then what else, right? So you use credit as an enabler to give your customers access to your products.
Mm.
And then by doing that, you are enabling your business to perform. And then the moment you start understanding that and changing the narrative of what is credit, what is the role of credit, as a credit control, I'm not just here to collect money. Why am I collecting money?
Yeah.
What is the reason why I'm collecting money? What is the reason why I need to collect that money?
Yeah.
As a credit risk manager, what is my role in, my role is not only to mitigate risk, because if you look at it as my role is to mitigate risk, that's all that you're going to be doing. Risk, 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 risk. My role is, how do I use this credit to enable my customers to grow? And in doing that, I am enabling the business that I'm working in to grow.
Yeah.
So change how you view credit from a credit collections manager, to a credit risk, and then to your credit controllers at the bottom to say, we are the enablers.
Yes.
Start looking at yourself like that. I am an enabler. I am the vehicle. I am driving this business. I am growing this business, and I'm doing that by growing my own customers and enabling them to grow. Then in that, then you understand that your role as a credit risk function within the entire business. To say, I am responsible for this assets of the company, which is ventures.
Yeah. It is what must I do to make it happen, not what must I do not to make it happen. Because they always say credit. No, we don't want to do. No. What can I change to make this risky client not risky?
Exactly.
It's enabling it.
It's
So
enabling.
that is so critical that what you just said,
Yeah.
Julia. And I think once they understand that, because a lot of them in their minds they have this view, I must
I'm here to say that.
prevent sales from getting
Yes.
clients that are not good. And they take that not good client and say, how much is he really good for? And sell that to you and manage that.
Yes. Yes.
Manage that.
Because
Very good.
our business is not to get rid of clients,
Yeah.
is to retain them and then help them to perform to the optimal level. That is our goal as a
Yeah.
credit team.
So in your role as leadership, we've spoken a little bit about recognition already, upskilling them
Mhm.
and then rewarding them for that upskilling.
Mhm.
How important is that for you, Julia?
It's for me, upskilling is a passion. You know, it must not be a job for
Mm.
me, because the moment it starts becoming a job, then it's gonna get tiring at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? So it's a passion to develop. And then why? Recently, I sat with my team of managers to say, you know, before we even start to talk about our roadmap, where we wanna go,
Mm.
how we wanna get there, we need to first define ourselves as a brand. Who are we as a
Yeah.
brand? You know, before you cannot have a roadmap if you don't even know who you are.
Correct.
You know, what is our vision
Yeah,
as a department before we can, what is the value proposition? And we said we want to be a center of excellence.
Yeah.
How do you become a center of excellence? You become a center of excellence by understanding your team's capabilities.
yeah,
And then by understanding your team's capabilities, then you understand how do I need to upskill them, right?
Yeah.
So if you have to be operationally efficient, how do I ensure as a manager that you become that, so that you become center of excellence?
Mm.
So for me, upskilling come with it to say, we need to be a center of excellence. For us to be a center of excellence, this is who we need to be. And then these are the skills that we need
Mm.
for us to be that center of excellence. It cannot be a vision and then that's it. And then you're like, we are center of excellence. And then we leave it there. We need to live
Yeah,
Yeah.
that vision that we have created. Is a huge vision.
yeah,
You know, you are saying I'm center of excellence, right?
Yeah.
How am I ensuring that, you know, I live that vision? And with regard to the recognition and reward, for me, Martin, my philosophy is if that is applied fairly and consistently,
yeah,
then, you know, it can make your team feel valued. So recognition and reward should be used to create inclusion within the team. It should be used to create positive performance, you know,
yes,
to create you know, positive working environment. It should not be used as something like, for me, it's focus on that, focus on rewarding and recognizing the team. And then it should also be tied back to the core values of the business. What are
Yes.
our core values as a business?
correct,
What are we driving towards? And then use your reward and recognition to effect that,
yeah,
you know, to drive more performance and then to get your team, you know, to give their discretionary effort
mm.
through that. So use that positively to influence the team
Yes.
to perform better.
Yeah. Yeah, Julia, I like what you said about the inclusion and the performance. If I look, and I think recognition, reward, upskilling, we have to understand, first of all, for me, we have to understand when do we give recognition? Exactly what you said. You can give credit to someone and you can give recognition. And if we understand that giving credit is almost like watching a movie. You watch a movie and at the end of the movie, they give credit to everyone,
Yeah.
that was all the names come
Yeah.
up, everybody that was in the movie. So everybody gets given credit that they were part of the movie.
Yeah,
But we give recognition when we go to the Golden Globes and the
Yeah.
Emmy Awards. We recognize the people that's gone outside and beyond. That we've given credit, and I think within the business environment, we have to use it on that consistent, always the same, always consistent way of, yes, we recognize and we give credit on everyone that is involved in making it happen. However, we give recognition to the outstanding performance outside of it. And when a business creates that values,
yeah,
that we say, this is how we recognize and this is how we will reward
yes,
due to the extra performance.
yes,
Then within the staff, it then becomes, I want to be part of the Emmys. I want to be part of the Golden Globe.
I want to say,
I also want to, and you cultivate a passion. You cultivate a passion of wanting to be part of that golden circle and wanting, and yes, you carry the name brand, you carry the values, but you want to do that little bit extra that's
exactly.
going to put you in the winner's circle. Yes, so when I say rewards, I think that in itself is a reward for people to be part of that group.
Yeah.
Reward in credit control, yes, we can talk about things like performance values and performance bonuses and all
Yeah.
those kind of things. However, every person likes to have the tap on the shoulder. Everybody wants
Just
to be
rub the ear
safe.
a little bit.
And
Well done.
exactly. But that well done, that recognition has to be authentic. It
Genuine.
has to be genuine.
Yeah.
It has to be specific. It has to not be, oh, well done on the collections. What collection? What did you notice? Well done on that bad debt of X amount that you brought in last month.
Correct.
It has to be specific and it has to be to the point, because then it makes the person feel you noticed.
Yeah.
You notice, you as a manager value me and you've noticed.
And you can use that and say, Tonya, I see Julia sitting with a similar problem to what you had.
Correct. And
Just
that's
share a
where
little bit
your
of,
upskilling comes. And
share
that's
a little bit.
exactly what I wanted to say to you. That's where your upskilling comes.
Correct.
Because we've got diverse people working in each business. We've got diverse people with diverse skills. And yes, as managers, we pull from those skills
Yeah.
in the best direction. We push here, but we put certain tasks with certain people because they're better in that area.
Mm.
However, from a management perspective, we need to use that to within our department's upskill. So that's the part that I like, because we have that diversity of skills right there under your nose. You don't have to do a training session. You don't have to do on-the-job training is probably the most best way to upskill people that you can enter, and it costs you nothing.
Yeah.
It costs you nothing to put one person with another person within the same department. and
Buddy
say,
training,
you
over the
guys,
shoulder training.
exactly, have a look, and you can do it in such an easy way. You know what? Martin had a problem last month and he seemed to have gotten through to the customer. Why don't you guys have a chat? And you didn't tell the person that they didn't do a good job or they are lesser than. You taking some of that skill and you sharing it across the board. And that's how you as a manager at the end also shine, because your staff. That's
Absolutely.
I'm also of the belief that the more clear it is to everybody where they're going.
Yeah.
So I say, there's my succession plan.
Yes.
Everybody knows.
Yes.
You want to become part of that succession plan. You got to do your own development.
Yes.
I'm not in charge of your development.
Yeah.
You
Where do
are.
wanna go?
You as a person. You say, hey, for me to get there, Martin, what do you, that credit manager's position that is over
What do
there,
you?
what do I need to get there?
Yeah.
Then I tell you. Then you say, okay, now I know.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to go and tap in all this knowledge that is around me
Yes.
to upskill myself to get there. Now I'm a contender for that
Absolutely.
succession plan that is visible there to everybody.
I like what you said, Martin, to say it needs to be visible, right? Your succession plan. It shouldn't be a secret,
No.
right? I need to understand what is it that Martin, what kind of skills and capabilities does Martin have for them to be in a role where, they can be the next head of credit risk,
Yeah.
right? So that, I need to buddy with Martin
Yes.
so that I understand the skills that they have, so that I can start aligning myself and developing myself, so that I am also, so that the pay field is level.
Yeah.
You don't want to be having managers where the play field is not level.
Yeah.
All the managers need to be at the same rate where they are competing and then competing at the same level for what? The next,
Between them, they mustn't know who's
yes.
the most
But
famous in the space.
it need to be a healthy competition. You can get wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get out of control very easy, but then it needs to be managed. It needs to be done in such a way that it's more around development than competition.
Exactly. I always used to train the guys, and my CFO came to me one day and he says to me, don't you ever get afraid and say that they might know more than you? I said,
It's
never.
fun.
I said, because I'm constantly upskilling myself. They will never get to know what I know. I said, because as much as I train them, I've got to stay ahead of them all the time. So now when you upskill, you challenge yourself because you now have to upskill yourself again. Because if you don't have anything to upskill them with, you're going to stagnate. And what happens to something that stands still?
Mm.
Starts to smell.
Yep.
Rots.
Yep.
Now we come to a little bit challenging stories here.
Mm.
Those animals that they call sales and the challenge that they bring into our world. I always laugh and I say the sales guys have got a habit to walk into your office at 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon and say,
Oh, yes.
we just landed this massive order. We need to increase this limit now. And now,
Exactly, right now. Yeah.
what do you do?
Yeah.
Those challenges, let's start with you this time.
Well, you know what, Martin, I think first, if I think back to where I started in credit management, and yes, you talk about those animals, I think that you, as stepping into a new world in credit management, you do see them as animals because of their need for you, immediate now.
The dependence.
The dependence. And then you get some experience and you realize if you make them your best friend, man, the company just thrives. Because there's certain things that you need from sales and there's certain things that sales needs from you.
Yes.
And if you can
Synergy.
and if you can meet around the table and you say, this is what I require, you give me that, I'm going to move the world for you.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what we've done. As I like to sit down, especially when new salespeople come in, to sit down with them and say, you know, there's a policy that says this is how we operate. It's that barrier on the road that taps you back in line and say, well, if you fall asleep on the road, you're going to veer off and you're going to hit the barrier. The policies is those barriers. And you need to know about them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm going to throw the book at you when you come to me with nonsense.
Yeah.
So spending the time, and that's where I find the value, spending the time with the salespeople right at the beginning,
Yes.
giving them the barriers, letting them know what you can and what you can't, and where we can push the limits, and how do we escalate from that point?
Mm.
Who do we go to from there? What is that process?
Yeah.
And making sure that they are aware, again, I refer back to the time wasters, that if you bring me this document, man, it's going to happen quick. It's going to happen so quick. The more you give me. Also, salespeople, I always, it's a different breed, just like credit managers, credit controllers is a different breed.
Yeah.
Yes, they've got revenue in focus, but we've got the collection of that revenue info. And we all in the credit world say a sale is not a sale until the money's in the bank. Yeah?
Correct.
But for me, make them your friend.
Yeah.
Definitely let them understand what is required, and
Yes.
so that, and then put it out there that you are willing, always willing, to go with them to that big customer.
Correct.
I like to go on a first visit to a customer.
Very important.
I love that because when you set the boundaries for the customer right there, we ask different questions than what sales want to know. For freight, how many TEUs, how many times are we shipping, when is it coming, how fast is it going to happen, from what trade lanes are we using? Credit control just wants to know, can I see your financials? What can I, if you're going to do all that business, you're going to need a credit limit that's going to be able to allow you. I will help you grow your business.
Enable you.
I'm going to enable you. So it's a three-way street
Mm.
with the customer and sales and credit control, because if we do that, we also set clear margins for the customer, because credit control at that meeting can say, this is how we operate. This is what we need you to do, because this will be the consequence. We spoke about it earlier, about tapping the child on the hand when
Yeah.
they don't listen. It's the same. We
Yeah.
have to educate our customers.
But we can also understand our customers' processes, because so many times we say
Exactly.
to the guy, why are you not paying my invoice? And he says, where's the
But
invoice?
where's the invoice?
And he says, I delivered it, but why
But I
then?
need it electronically, or I need it, and so these different
Understand the
questions. So
process.
for me, for sales, definitely have them as your friend, have them in your pocket. And when you see the customer together, right from the word go,
Yes,
not when the shipment is in the port waiting,
No.
not when the credit limit is already exceeded,
no,
but that close relationship that they have openness to come to you and say, what can I do? I have a shipment coming and this is where we're standing. And also for them to be able to come to you and say, I'm doing a follow-up visit with my customer. What is their account looking like?
yes,
So that relationship is vital for the growth of your company as well as for that of the customer.
absolutely. Challenges in that environment, in your world, Julia?
You know, Tanya touched on the key thing, relationship, right? So we spend a lot of time on understanding collaboration, you know, and have everybody define what collaboration means to them. You know,
Yes.
what does collaboration mean to you? What does collaboration mean to you? What does collaboration mean to you? What do souls need from us, right?
Mm.
Souls need to sell.
Yeah.
That's all that they want to do. They just want to sell. And then they need to make sure that they sell to, you know, without any barriers.
Mm.
And then what is our goal? We need to enable them to
Yes,
sell. Once we understand that relationship, they need to sell, we need to enable them to sell.
absolutely.
So what is the disjoint between having them wanting to sell and us being enabling them? And it's like, have honest and open, transparent conversations
About,
with your sales business partners about their customers, right? About it's both our customers, but then have those, you know, and then let us understand that the same shoe cannot fit everybody,
no,
right? It can't
Very much.
fit everybody, and you cannot, you've got different type of customers, and then there's way in terms of how you, but then that conversation need to be there, that continuous conversation need to be there. You know, you need to understand their strategy, you need to understand who for them is key,
Mm.
right? And then why, and understand why these customers are key to them. They might not be key to me, I might be thinking, but then you, that customer that you're saying is key, I'm telling you, it's not gonna be key for a specific period, but then you need to give them the tools to understand that, like you need to take them through that journey.
Yeah,
Because that is where the disjoint is, where they are saying, but then I need to develop Martin Pty Limited. You know, this is my key customer. And then you can see, and then because of you understanding the customer and their environment, that there is within, maybe, I'm not saying we cannot develop Martin Pty Limited today. Let's rather wait and then see how Martin performs. Maybe we might need to do that in 6 months, because looking at Martin's financial position and that the cash flow will not be able to handle that
yes,
such pressure. Because if you put more stock, it means that they need to get more money to pay us, and then they need to pay us within a specific period. Will Martin Pty Limited have the cash flow to do that? They will not have it in the 6 months.
yes,
So rather, let's look at Tanya Pty Limited.
yeah,
Tanya Pty Limited, for example, I have noticed that they have been growing. You know,
Yeah.
I've looked at their financials and so forth. And let's focus on Tanya, and then manage Martin, and then just a little bit grow Martin. So you give them solutions
yes,
to because they want to sell, they genuinely want to sell. You cannot be a barrier.
you don't become the problem, you become the solution.
Yes, you become the solution. So you say, not here now, in the next 6 months, and then the why,
Mm.
as to what, not now, why, but then let's look at this other option.
Yeah.
Because there's more opportunity here.
Yes,
Let's focus here now. For now, this can happen,
yes,
and then we'll come back to this one.
fantastic, fantastic. Now, you're either gonna take that credit policy of your business and enforce it.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna analyze and walk away with that client.
Yeah.
I mean, walk away,
Away,
or
yeah.
walk away.
Yeah.
There's two
Yes.
walkaways from here.
Yes.
Do you have that allowance? Do you have that capability? Are you allowed to do that? But it's in this collaboration that we spoke about. That's where it lies.
Yes.
How do you manage that in your world, Tony?
I think, Martin, that is where the juicy bit comes.
Mm.
Yeah, that is really where credit risk gets meted. Yeah, it's really fascinating because you can. I like to look at the company and overall, we've got so many places where the media is a wonderful thing.
Mm.
And Google, we always say, yeah, go on Google, you can find a lot of stuff, yes. But it's also then, that's at that point where I like to sit with a customer or have that conversation over the phone with a customer and find out, where are you going? What is your
Yeah.
plan?
Yeah.
Where are you going? Because the way I'm looking at it,
You're not going
you're not
anywhere.
going anywhere. And either we get to this point, and yeah, we have all those processes in our policy that you mentioned,
Mm.
the dining letters, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
pay your hours, or I'll send the man with the baseball bat, and
Yeah.
we've got all of that. So you can do it that way, or you can send that email, say, how do we do it so that you can continue and we can continue? And somewhere along the line, you get back in line, and then we happy and you happy and your business grow. So yes, we certainly do in today's world.
Yeah.
We certainly do make those decisions. I do believe that we are sometimes maybe a lot more lenient than we should be.
Yeah,
However, credit risk manager will always think, no, stop the account,
Yes.
because they're not paying. And then when you look at your company strategy and where you want to end up and needing to also grow, you need to help the liquidity of the
Mm.
company by enabling
doing it
the
straight.
customer to do it. And you can by ways, for me in freight forwarding, we would look at situations where we give a little bit and we take a little bit. So you pay me, if you pay me R1, I give you 50 cents worth.
Yeah,
And you pay me R2, I give you R1 worth.
Yeah.
So that slowly you work your way back into being into a normal trading by payment term situation. So really important that we try.
yeah.
We do try, because having an existing customer and working with an existing customer is a lot cheaper than onboarding another customer.
The devil that you don't pay.
Onboarding another customer is you go through the whole process, you educate the customer, you have sales and commission there, yes, but it is a lot of visits, it is a lot of coaching with the customer to get them in line, for them to understand our way of trading. The risk analysis that you do with a new customer, where if you've got payment history with an existing customer, you've got already have data that you can analyze, that you
Exactly.
can monitor it for a while, and then you can make a conclusion and respond to that analytics
Mm.
and say to the customer, this is what I see.
Yeah,
I feel when you play that open card where you say to the customer, this is what I see, am I wrong? Is there something that you can, it's like sitting in the court.
yeah.
This is what I see, what can you tell me that's gonna mitigate the service?
So what don't I see?
Yes,
What don't I see? What don't I see? Because there might be a big project, there might be something in the pipeline that they've just signed on that you're not aware of, or whatever, that is going to help them. But
Yes.
then it is about being in front, customer facing. It's
Yes.
about walking that path, and I definitely believe that having an existing customer and trying to, I almost want to rehabilitate
Yeah,
is better than taking on
New
that level that you don't know.
sometimes we have to take 3 steps back.
Yes,
we eventually take five steps
steps
forward.
forward.
Absolutely.
It's like a child that you maybe have to smack 2 or 3 times, but eventually they
They
don't.
listen. And in the PG world,
Our mandate is to retain and grow our customers, right? But then we need to do that within the defined policies and so forth. And I like Tanya's to say, it's very expensive to onboard a new customer than to retain and grow the customer that you have, right? So I recently attended an elective, which was business, behavioral science for business impact. So how do you impact the behavior that you want, either within a team or your customers' behavior? And it talks about, nudges. How do you nudge? Yes. And then there was an example where they're saying, okay, so if as an individual we are not going to the gym and that is something that you wanted to do, and somebody calls you and say, hey, Julia, I've noticed that you have not been coming to the gym. So are you gonna come? What is going on? And so forth. It will get you to go to the gym. Some said yes, some said no. And then putting it back to my space to say, I can see that Mr. So-and-so, 2 days delaying payment, 3 days delaying payment. I'm not gonna, my credit controller should not be phoning that customer at day 2 when they didn't pay the account, at day 32, for example. Start having those conversations on the 23rd. And conversation should change to say, Mr. Customer, so how are you doing? How is the business doing? Yes, how is the business doing? Is there anything that you need me to help you with? Then you identify at that point in time whether you're gonna get your money or you're not gonna get your money. We should come and visit you. I haven't been to your business in a while. We should come and visit you and see, if there's any way, we need to start looking at growing your business. And you know very well that at this point in time, growing that business might not be. But then you start having those conversations, you make them feel valued to say, yes, as much as I'm pushing my payments with a day or 2 out, they really, really care about me. They need to see my business growing, right? So this team of people that care so much about me and they want to see me grow, I don't want to disappoint them because I want to grow. So using that skill,
For sure.
to manage that, to manage it's relationship building, but then using certain skills to get that and changing you are not a good paying customer. You are I want to build you. I want to grow you. I am more interested in your business. Your business makes sense for me having it.
fantastic. You showed me a landing sign already, but we're going to steal a little bit of time because I think the next bit of part is very important as well. Now we've heard what you said about the importance of the task, connecting the cash, because that's important. But now we've got so many time wasters going on around us. So we've got to bring tools in and make sure that we put things in place that helps them to eliminate the time wasters and still enable us to deal with our clients. And secondary to that, engaging in that period, do we still call for securities? How do we manage? Because just that thing, just that word securities is got a whole new different management structure attached to that. Do we call for securities or do we walk away from the client? And how do we mitigate? What do we use to help us, to enable us?
I remember recently, one of my managers, Rosalind, said to me, Julia, we need to stick to what we do best, right? Managing property is not our thing. And then what was she referring to? She was referring to, yes, we have securities, right? We take securities in different forms.
Yeah.
Right. So you have this house as your security.
Mm.
And then you got to a point where the relationship ends.
Mm.
Okay, so you got the house.
Yeah.
What do you know about managing a house?
Yeah.
You've never, so now you need to be a property specialist.
Correct.
You know nothing about being a property specialist because
Yeah.
now you have this house. So we need to start looking at, yes, having some form of security is good, but then we need to start looking at what form of securities do we need
Yeah.
that we can turn into cash when it is required to do that.
Quick.
You know, and you honestly having a house as a security, what we need.
It sounds so good. It sounds so good. It sounds so
It's
good.
not so good,
I
but
got the guy's house.
yes, but then we want to be a property manager because you still need to sell that house.
Oh, yes.
You still need to manage that house. It becomes another expense to you
Yeah.
because you need to pay the levies, you need to do
Yes.
this, you need to find somebody to go and stay
Maintain
in that
it.
house and maintain that house. And so you need to pay that person to maintain that house because if you leave it there, it's gonna be vandalized.
Yeah.
Then you're worried about properties now. You move away from your core business, which is what this is what I need to be doing.
Exactly.
So for me, it's yes, let's understand the type of securities that we need as a business,
Mm.
that we can turn quick into cash when we need it.
And that's what's also important, what you said just now is that we should already have seen this coming and rather manage the guy and say, I'm only going to give you a little bit now, a little bit now. Because if you want that, I got to call for securities. I don't want to become a property agent. I don't want to have all your, I'd rather give you a little bit at a time,
Yeah.
help you grow. And then we don't do that.
Yes.
Same with interest charges.
Yeah.
I always say, why do you want to charge interest? Manage the process,
Yes.
manage the client better, understand him better. Then you don't have to charge interest.
Very-
You're going to work yourself out of it.
Yeah.
And you'll,
Yeah, in our world, yes, we do take securities, but we try and obviously from an asset perspective, we try and stay away from that. As far, we would rather take bank guarantees, upfront payments, as
easy
well,
money.
holding deposits. Because, yeah, in the freight world, your biggest value sit on when you're doing customs clearance, customs duties, that
Yes,
is huge amounts.
huge
So
capital.
when you do have, and that's where it can go wrong. So when you do have a customer that you do a lot of imports for, and there's a lot of that kind of charges in, then the option would rather be to go for bank guarantees for the value of the extra that you willing to go to the credit limit, as well as a holding deposit for the VAT and duty.
Yes,
Because if you then have a holding deposit that will cover that, and it is a top-up situation where you top it up.
yeah,
And it's easy to do that because it's a one paragraph addendum
Yeah.
to your contract where we will have this holding deposit will be topped up 3 monthly. In case not done, we will stop the account until it is done.
yeah.
It's upfront, it's
Clear, it's visible.
Money sits there, it's a visible situation for the customer also always to know. And when they do run into trouble, you've already had the conversation where, should we get to that point, we will then give you instruction to clear our debt from the holding deposit.
Yeah.
So it then puts clear on the table, open cards.
Transparency.
Transparency. We've done it with few customers where you get to that point where you've got a history of good trading, they run into some trouble, and then we get to that point where we have to say, look, we want to continue the relationship, but how do we do this? Rather give us a guarantee, maybe a corporate guarantee. Corporate guarantee works very well for us because of being international. There is a lot of companies, if they do have a holding company,
Cross-country guarantee, yeah.
that is bigger, that is willing to give that corporate guarantee.
Yeah.
It gives you that security and it's clean.
Yeah,
It's clean, it's not a costly for us to manage. It's an annual thing that you can have revisited and renewed. And it does make it a lot easier than having to manage in the situation.
it's
like
far
you
more
say,
liquid than a property.
Yes,
Yes.
the liquidity is right there, and we don't have to worry about the house and the tenant and the levy and the whatever. And yes, I mean, those are great assets to have, but I think
The management of
it's the management, and for that reason, we try and stay away from
The
it.
next question, I think we've answered already. The question was going to be, do we still go legal? And I think we've already
Yeah.
said, no, legal is expensive.
Yeah.
So rather manage the process
Yeah.
and work yourself out of that situation
Yeah.
and manage the client through that situation than going to the expense of possibly losing everything. So that's,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah, for sure.
my next question is, and this is the last one I want to touch on, because it's very important to me. The credit control team, and you called us the grey boys just now, have always been seen as these acts in that dark office there in the back.
Yeah.
And they cost a lot of money. They collect money. How do we change that view from someone being a cost center to a profit center?
Yeah.
Start with you, Julia.
So I mentioned earlier to say we are enablers. And then the moment you start changing the narrative to say we are enablers, and then if I'm an enabler, what does that mean to me, right? If I am not collecting money on time, what does that mean to the business?
Yes.
It's more of if I am sending an incorrect cash forecast, what does that mean to the business?
Yes.
So when you start thinking like that, to say, I am sending a cash forecast, I am saying we're gonna get 350 million because I have used this, I have thumbs up the number. Somebody on the other side, my financial manager is saying, I will be able to pay my suppliers
Mm,
because there is this
Yes.
money that is coming through.
yeah.
And then what happens? 250 come in, there's 100 million.
Missing.
There are costs involved in
Yeah.
that because now you have committed to paying suppliers at a specific point. You are not doing that, you are getting, some are charging interest. You are being charged interest, you need to find money somewhere quick, and then because you need money urgently
To bridge that gap.
to bridge that gap. So for us is how do we turn our business to be more profitable by understanding all these things that we have to do, right? If I am not collecting money on time, I am increasing my bad debt. What does that mean?
Yes.
You know, where is this sitting on our financials?
Yes.
It's that understanding of my role within the entire business.
Yes.
Yeah, I think exactly what you said, being an enabler, and I go back to where I started off with, in knowing your numbers. If your credit control understand what role they play,
Mm.
then they can understand how positively to affect the business. If the revenue is up and we collect the money, the liquidity of the company is there.
Yeah.
And we can then make decisions on growing our business, on acquiring more assets in whichever direction, if we are asset-driven business.
Yes.
You know, of acquiring it. And from a forecasting perspective, yes, for sure. Doing accurate forecasting, you can only do if you've done your preemptive calls, if you know exactly what's going to go in, if you've got the promise to pay.
Understand the client.
You understand your customer.
Yes, and if you've got you've got your promise to pay is logged, and you know,
Mm.
and you try and get as close as possible in order from your point to feed through to the top management that's having to make decisions across the whole business
Mm.
of who do we pay, who do we, what do we, can we move to our investors and say, this is what we're going to be doing at the end of this month, and having the investors invest more in your business to allow you to grow.
Absolutely.
So
Correct.
it is knowing the numbers and knowing where you want to be and where that turns you around into that, from being a cost center to an enabler. Brilliant way of explaining it.
And Julia touched on it also just now. I've always had the view, I say to the credit controllers, look who your clients are that underutilizes us, the good ones.
Yes,
Mm.
And the next time you have a meeting with your sales, you say, hey,
yes.
what do you think about this client?
Mm.
This client can handle far more than what we're giving him.
Yes.
They can use us more. I see there's some of our opposition also there. I said, if we give them something better, better service, better enabling them, and things like that. Can we not sell more to them? Now what are you doing? Is you helping them sell and helping them grow the business. That was such a nice time chatting to you.